I saw a link to this on another martial artist page, and I said, I'm stealing that. And I'm glad another martial artist had talked about this idea first, so I don't have to look like I just got some gigantic axe to grind on this subject. Um, I'm not going to say who the martial artist is. I know he probably doesn't care if I use his name or not, but you don't need Twitter coming after you. It's if they don't like what you're saying. Like the cults, the hood cults. I said a couple of videos back, you've got like a hood cult. And if you say anything that people in the hood cult hate, they bother you, they come after you. Some people will even threaten you with bodily harm. I'm serious. So nobody needs a hood cult coming after them. I deal with the hood cult as I have to deal with the hood cult anyway. But the thing about Morgan Freeman and Black History Month, he basically says, go look at the clip. He says, I don't want Black History Month because I don't want you to relegate Black history to just a month or my history to a month. There's no White History Month. Why do we need Black History Month? Which is true. Black history is part of American history. We should just teach, well, I'm going to add in, we should just teach in all of American history. Okay? Which we should. And in the interview, Mike Wallace says, how do you stop racism? And Morgan Freeman says, stop talking about it. And the martial artist who had this on his Facebook page is agreeing with that. You know, if we stop talking about racism, it'll go away. Now, this is my problem with that idea. And this is going to sound really arrogant. And I'm sorry if it sounds arrogant, but unfortunately it's true. See, the problem with the stop talking about it argument, even though that's what I do personally when I'm dealing with people, I just don't acknowledge it, is that you're assuming that everybody is as intelligent as you are, especially emotionally. People like Morgan Freeman who tell you to just stop talking about racism and just stop, don't refer to this person as, hey, that is my white friend. Let me get the name. That is my white friend, Alfonso. I don't even know anybody white named Alfonso, but that is my white friend Alfonso. Just say, that is Alfonso. That's what I do. The only time I'll say that is a black whatever or a white whatever or an Asian whatever is if I know 2, 3, and 4 people by the same name. I'll take the name Dave. I know a white guy named Dave who's my mentor and friend. Then I got a nephew-in-law who's a white guy named Dave and David. And then I grew up with a dude named David who's black, and he was so influential on me as a kid. I mean, if I see him to this day, I will dap David up. But that's 3 days. I used to work for David. David was the head of the department I used to work for when I worked downtown back in the day, and I really like him. I really respect that David. That's 4 Davids. So if I want to differentiate between Davids, if I'm saying, oh my goodness, like when I told my wife, Dave got in a car accident, which Dave? I couldn't say white Dave because there's 3 Davids that she knows about. So I have to differentiate. It's just like in Men in Black when Will Smith says, why do we have all this cover-up BS? People can handle the truth. And, oh gosh, what is his name? I forget anyway. The mentor character says, a person is smart and can handle the truth. But people are scary, panicky animals, and you know it. See, that's the problem with racism. All of us who are reasonable people, we can treat people like you don't care what color they are because we really don't care what color they are. I really don't care what color they are. But it doesn't matter what we think because there's too many other people still that are really panicky and tribal on the subject. People are so tribal, it's ridiculous. And a lot of the rest of us who say we're not tribal, we're just tribal in another way. Like I had to catch myself. I was going to make a video. I was getting ready I saw an argument online. Everybody involved in the argument was black. So it wasn't race. But I was getting ready to defend a martial artist and make a video about it just because he's from where I'm from. I know that's what it is. It's just because he's from the D.C., Maryland area. And I met him. So, and it's not like we're close friends, but because he's from the DC metro area, I know him. I'm going to take up for him. And the sad thing is, I had to stop myself. And I'm going to do that video, but both sides of that argument are right. So when I do a video about that, I'm going to talk about how both sides of the argument are right. Therefore, I should offend the most people. But it's the same thing with racism. It doesn't happen all the time. Dare I say, it doesn't even happen often. But in a martial arts class, every once in a while, somebody will either say something that has to do with race, or points out race, or what happens more often, it will point out gender, boy, girl, male, female. And that's when I have to go to the Bible and paraphrase the verse that says, there is no slave or free. There is no Jew or Gentile. There is no male or female in the body of Christ. And I say, in the classroom, they're just students. I'll take that and butcher it. And then I'll say, and that's just like in class, there's no male or female. There's no old or young. There's no black or white or brown or red or yellow. There's only students. Students and teachers. You may have adults and children, but that's it. That's all there is to it. Now, it's not my fault. It's just how people are. People are just, they're not going to get over racism by not talking about it. The first science fiction novel I wrote, the lady had read it. She was really mad at me and she was offended. And she was offended because I have two of the warrior characters in the book using the N-word when they're talking to each other, like, sometimes some African Americans are prone to do. Because their subculture in that book is descended from the African American culture in the future. And she was mad. She said, you really think we're going to be using that word in the future? I said, we know better now, and we still use the word. What makes you think it's not going to be there in the future? Are you serious? Especially when it's further away from when it had the serious impact that it does now? Then they're really going to use it unless we can really convince people not to. I didn't say that unless we can convince. I just said, yeah, because we know better now and we're still doing it. I don't think racism is going to go away by not talking about it. I think you got to talk about it, and you're going to have to keep hammering it home that you shouldn't do it, and then people will stop. You're either going to have to do that or just let it run its course like a bad cold or disease. Because I also think that Nick Fury says exactly right, Cecil. Because I also think that it may just wear out and play out. Because sometimes attitudes just generationally and spontaneously will change. I know a lot of feminists feel like the feminist movement really helped push women's rights forward, but I think that's only recently. I think we also were just ready because of the way the world and society had changed and technology. We were ready to go, we don't need to keep women in these roles. They can have a shot just like everybody else can have a shot. So I think human consciousness said, okay, let's put that behind. Let's embrace, actually seeing women as people. Well, see, I'm getting ready to say, I don't know why they didn't say it in the first place, but see, that's me. That's me. And I bet if I'd said that in the wrong spot 400 or 500 years ago, they probably would have killed me. And I'd have been dead, and you'd have never heard that one guy named Cecil in that remote society 400 or 500 years ago who believed that women can own cows too. You see what I'm saying? So that's what's going to stop racism. Now, I will say this. Those of us who are capable of functioning like Morgan Freeman should function like Morgan Freeman, because that's what I do. That's just how I am. And you gotta understand, I'm 47 years old. I came up, and especially in the town I came up in, I came up hearing about the water fountains and the thing about the ice cream where they wouldn't sell ice cream to black vanilla ice cream to black people. I think that's an urban legend, but I remember hearing that stuff growing up. And see, I just thought they were pulling my leg about some of the stuff until I saw documentaries talking about it. And I was like, wow, they're not pulling my leg about this stuff? Because my group is one of the first groups of people where we're like, we don't care about that. What? Black, white, what? We don't really care that much. I went to a beach one time when I was little. And there were little kids playing on the beach. And I was by myself, right? So these other two kids come over to me and they go, do you know what they're doing to you? I was like, what are they doing to me? They're like, well, we're not like them. We're Cajun. I had never heard of Cajun. I had never heard of Cajun, right? I just thought they were white kids because I didn't know about Cajun because I'm not from Louisiana. I was like, okay, I think I probably said you're Cajun instead of Cajun because I didn't know what the word was. And it's like, they're not playing with you because you're black. That doesn't bother you? And I said no. And it was true. I was like, no. Because see, now I got all the sand over here to myself. I got all the sand. They don't want to play with me? Cool. That means I ain't got to share space with them. And their father heard that. He's like, he said something like, this kid is going to be selfish. Jesus. But hey, that's how I felt. I didn't dawn on me. Of course, I had plenty of experiences later, people throwing rocks at me, stuff like that, calling me the N-word, get out of my neighborhood. But other than that, but still, when I encounter other children later, children want to play with each other until some adult comes in and says, no, you can't, you can't. But I know my group coming up, it's not as big of a deal unless people are making a deal out of it. Most of us, you had integrated schools and stuff like that. We just don't care as much. And then when I look down the line at some of the younger people, some of them care, but I think they care even less. So it's probably just going to have to play itself out over time. But see, this is what thing that keeps in the business. I'm going to close with this because I got to go to class. There's big money in racism. Racism comes from fear, and there's money to be made in fear. Guess who else makes money off of fear? Some of us in the martial arts. Like, you're afraid that person's going to attack you. Learn my secret death move so you can kill them with a pinky. As long as there's money to be made in fear, you're going to have a problem trying to stop things that need fear. And racism needs fear. And see, this is the thing about people, which is why I'm going to sound snarky, mean, arrogant, and cynical. I think that racism will run its course. It's going to go away. Those of us who are capable of being like Morgan Freeman, we're going to continue to be like Morgan Freeman. And for the benefit of people who aren't like Morgan Freeman, we're going to have to talk about it whenever it's time. Don't just bring it up out the blue, but talk about it so that people will keep hearing that it's wrong and eventually stop. But unfortunately, knowing human beings will just find another reason to hate each other. Probably by the time people are living on the moon, people on Earth are going to hate people that live on the moon. And there'll be moon people jokes. When people move to Mars, some people may say move back to Mars, depending on what conspiracy theory you believe in. People on Earth will hate the people on Mars, who will hate the people on the moon. Or maybe when we move up throughout the solar system, if you live on an asteroid, people that live on planets will think they're better than you. So that's just how people are. We're just going to have to find a reason to hate each other. So the racism thing is probably just going to have to play itself out until we can find something else to make ourselves feel like, basically, because the thing with racism, it's a great way for you to feel good about yourself if you feel like your race is better than everybody else's. It's a great way for you to feel good about yourself without having to actually do anything or accomplish anything. See, it's not like feeling good about yourself because you're a martial artist, because that takes work. See, with racism, you can be a king or a queen or royalty, and you don't have to do anything. You just show up, you're just born, in the deified skin, whether your race is on top now, or your race was kings of the past, or your race has an ancient culture. So I think I've offended everyone. You get to be special just by showing up. So, thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Those of us who are martial artists, let's make our classrooms a zone where that's not an issue. And those of us who are capable of being like Morgan Freeman need to continue being like Morgan Freeman. But just because we act like Morgan Freeman, it doesn't mean it's just us acting like Morgan Freeman's not enough. We still got to deal with everybody else. Peace. Where is it? There it is.